Hello, and welcome to Moving Beyond Stigma. My name is Michelle Crossman, and this is episode 6. I want to first start off this episode by thanking you all for joining and listening to this journey so far. We have had 4 incredible guests featured in our episodes since January 2023, and I am so excited to continue sharing with you the amazing guests that we have in store for the rest of this year. With that being said, today is actually an episode that I'm hosting all by myself. My hopes in this episode really is to just share some honesty, share a little bit of the journey that I've been on with my own mental health, and, hopefully find something that you can maybe relate to, maybe use in your own life, or maybe connect with or share with somebody else. Thank you again for joining in and listening, and I guess we'll get started. Lately, there has been a theme going on in my life, and it's been something that I've been yearning for, I think, since I can remember, and I didn't really know that I was missing it until very recently. So I'm going to talk about how it feels to find safety in your own life, safety within yourself, safety within your community and your family. And I want to specify that I'm talking about an emotional and validating kind of safety, a safety where you can be so true to your needs, your boundaries, what you are experiencing and where you are at, without any kind of judgment, without any kind of pushback. And that's something that I think is hard to find, genuinely. Who are the people that you can really open yourself up with and can really trust that you can be held no matter what? Those kinds of the relationships are the ones that are really rare. And I think the rarest one of all is the one that we have with ourselves. And that's definitely something that I have been spending a lot of time on to learn. I always kind of had my own back in a lot of ways when it came to career, and when I knew I needed to push forward, and when I knew I needed to maybe take a step back. And, that's been a learning curve of mine my whole life, but I've always kind of had my own back, and I always felt safe making those decisions for myself. But then when it came to the emotional side of things, I realized I never trusted myself. For as long as I can remember, I'd always second guess my own feelings, or if my feelings weren't what I thought they should be or what people expected them to be, then I thought maybe my feelings were wrong and I was wrong and I didn't deserve certain things in my life or certain people in my life, or maybe I deserved the bad stuff. And that's not actually how life works, but that's how it felt for me for so long. And over this past year, especially, after coming out of lockdown and really taking that time to look back at my life and see my new goals in a clear light, and see where I want to go next, and see what I want to develop next. It really opened my eyes to realize that, okay, I am my greatest cheerleader in a very specific way. But in the rest of my life, I don't have my own back. And for my success to truly happen, and for me to find what I really want to do and really, really go for it, I need to have my own back, just like you need to have yours. I think this is something that we all need, and finding it, oh my goodness, it is definitely not easy. I'm not even going to pretend that it is. Since I really started looking inwards, it's been a few years, honestly, that I've been on this journey. And I can personally thank my roommate and best friend for all of the insight that she's provided me along the way, which has been a huge help in this process. And I can thank my therapist because she's also incredible. I can thank my friends who have helped, stand by my side when I ask questions and bring up struggles that I might have, and they support me without judgment, so I've been incredibly lucky to have that around myself as I'm on this journey. But some of that nitty gritty, really hard work you have to do completely on your own, and it's hard. You can have those people there to support you and hold your hand. I highly, highly suggest it, but that work you do have to do yourself. And that's what I've really been spending the last year doing, is focusing in on my own mental health and trying to see where I was actually really struggling and trying to see what was out of my control and what was in my control. And, because of course, some of the things that affect us, we literally have no control over. And that's part of it. But learning how to maybe move with the difficult stuff that is in our control, and learning the difference is very difficult sometimes, especially in the heightened emotional states. And it's okay if you don't have the answer in that state. I just want to share that this time in our lives right now, no matter where you are in your journey, this time right now is so incredibly important and so incredibly powerful for change if you let it. You have to give yourself permission to dive in and accept change and want the change and push forward for the change, because we all deserve better than what's been happening right now. We all deserve better, especially those in the marginalized communities and the rural parts of the world where there's just so much happening. And I can't even dive into that right now because then this episode is going to be 500 hours long. But we all know what's going on, and it's terrifying. And looking at it and actually seeing it, paying attention, reading about it, seeing what you can do on your end is so incredibly important. But it also can be exhausting and draining. And that's also okay to recognize and, accept. It's valid that you're tired all the time. It's valid that you want to hide under your covers sometimes and not actually feel like you're in the world right now, because the world is scary. But we are in the world right now, and you can't fade away because you are so incredible. You know, I am incredible. Every single one of us is incredible and important and amazing and unique and beautiful. And we all have so much love to give to this world. But I want us to remember that that love starts with ourselves. You have to give yourself love. And that is something that I have personally struggled with, as I said, for a very long time. And even as I'm talking about it right now, it is really hard to say that I deserve love. So if that's hard for you, I want you to know that I understand. It is hard to give ourselves love and compassion and empathy and understanding, and to do all of these things without judgment. We tend to hold the most judgment and resentment and shame towards ourselves. And if you're holding on to all of that, that grip is going to just hurt you. And it's not going to give you the safe space that you need to truly grow and heal from all the world's heartbreak and all your personal heartbreak. You need to take a moment. You need to take that time to write in your journal, dance it out in your living room, go stare at the water, go for a walk, take some deep breaths, meditate, cook in your kitchen, do whatever it is that makes you happy, and just take a moment while you're doing those things to thank yourself for doing those things, because you deserve every ounce of happiness. Every second of happiness, no matter what it is, no matter how big or small that happiness is, you deserve it, and so do I, and we all do. And I just want you to really take that in right now. I want you to take that in with me right now and just listen. Say it out loud to yourself. I deserve happiness. I deserve love. I deserve to be valued. I deserve to be respected. I deserve to feel safe. You are all safe here in your bodies, within your souls. You can be so safe. And we forget how important that can be. Safety is something that we all deserve, especially in the world today. There is so much that is terrifying, so much that is unfair, and so much of our resources are still not going to the right places. These big, big selfish companies and corporations, and people have been taking and taking and taking for so long that we don't know that the world can be any different. So when you walk into this world, you're born into this world, and people are automatically taking from you. It is really hard to even understand or even fathom what the word safe even feels like. There's so many people who don't ever get the chance to feel that. So if you today are listening, I want you to try your best to think about what it means to be safe. And again, you might not feel it right away. It's like I go up and down with myself and how safe I feel in my own company. It's something I'm working on daily. And some days I truly do feel okay and safe with myself, but not all the time. And that's, it's part of the journey. And I want to be honest about that. It's not something where you just flip a switch and you find it and it all makes sense. It's a constant up and down roller coaster ride. But with the right help and the support, you can get there. I truly believe that we can all get there. It just takes time and patience and kindness. I also need to take a moment to recognize and acknowledge the privilege that I have to have even been able to go on this journey with myself, to find this place of safety and love, even though, like I said, it is a roller coaster of a ride and I still definitely don't feel it on a daily basis, but I'm still getting there and I'm still trying every day to make some kind of move in the right direction. But there is great privilege in my space right now. So as hard as this has been for myself, and as hard as I know some days to come are going to be, because I can feel it in my bones, I can feel it in my soul. I know that my personal journey has a long way to go, but I have an incredible support system. And that is why this podcast is here, because I want to share that with you, because I want to be able to create more, because so much more is needed, so much more. We need more access to therapy that doesn't cost you $200 a session, even $85 a session, $50 a session. Sometimes people do not have that. Why is none of this covered? It is so difficult. And the wait lists are so disheartening. And these are things that we've talked about in other episodes in more detail, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but I just need to bring it back to that because it's such a problem. And I know so many companies and initiatives are putting in a lot of work to do what they can, and I have so much respect for those places, and I'm so grateful for that. I just know there needs to be more. This world is so unpredictable, and it's hard to move one foot in front of the other on a lot of days with actual hope and excitement to see what's next, because there has been so much dread for so long. And this is especially why taking time for you and taking time to give yourself some compassion and love and kindness is so needed. It's been a wild ride for myself personally. I can definitely tell you that. There's been so many pieces to it. It started off with just trying to understand intrusive thoughts. That's something I've talked about a little bit publicly. And I've danced about it before in one of my latest pieces at the last online fundraiser for Let the Elephants Dance. The theme was intrusive thoughts. That's something I've dealt with for a very long time. I'd always had a lot of judgment towards myself about them. I thought I was wrong or broken. And it wasn't really until I started talking about it more publicly that I realized, okay, this happens. And then, I took the next step and talked to a doctor about it, talked to my psychiatrist about it, and so many steps were made, to figure out what my triggers were. When was it an OCD intrusive thought where it was really affecting my day-to-day life, and when was it something that, I could just kind of say no to and keep going. Everyone experiences intrusive thoughts, but some people, like myself, who does have OCD, you know, those are the ones that they cling on to you and they really like to let go. And they're very hard to move through and move past. So that was kind of my first step this year in like really diving into figuring out what I needed to take care of myself fully. And once that puzzle piece was really sorted out, I could kind of dive into some other things, and coming to terms fully with my identity as a queer person was also a huge part in learning how to love myself fully, because of the heteronormative world that we live in. There's so many things about myself that I just kind of shoved aside or pushed away or pretended didn't really exist because it didn't fit into this picture that I thought I wanted to have. But letting those pieces shine and letting them totally just be free has been probably one of the biggest joys on this personal journey of mine, because now I can openly say I am a queer woman and I am so happy about it, and my sexuality is so fluid and I love it, and I love so many different kinds of humans, and I think we're all beautiful, and I honestly just wish everyone loved that way because it is so joyous and so rewarding and not at all controlled by anyone else but myself, which is so freeing. It's one of those things that you don't totally realize is being taken away from you until you feel it all. So now being in a space where I can feel that all, I've been able to continue life on a whole different road, a road that I'm building myself. And it is so freeing and beautiful and heartwarming and joyous, and that has made such an improvement on my well-being as a whole because I'm not hiding anymore. And I understand a lot of people maybe don't understand that, whether they've never had to come out or, and that's okay because not, everyone's different. But if you are someone who doesn't fall into that heteronormative world, please know that you are beautiful and you are completely normal. The dialogue of man, woman, children, house. I don't think that was the right order, but whatever. There is no right order, None of that is necessary. You can choose who you want to love. You can build your own life structure, your own family structure. There doesn't have to be marriage unless you want it. There doesn't have to be kids unless you want it. You can also marry whoever. You can love whoever. You can have a house full of adults and all love each other. There is no right or wrong way to love anybody. And that is something I've finally really sunk into and feel and love. And I feel so safe knowing that. So please, if you are somebody who is, on that fence, trying to figure out who you are, just know that whenever you do, it's going to feel amazing, and that there's no right or wrong timing on figuring it out. You can also flip flop as much as you need or want to, Life is fluid, love is fluid, it's all beautiful and amazing. So these little bits and pieces of ourselves that sometimes get chipped away because of, expectations that are put upon us, the things that are in the media, again, capitalism, there's so much that we can all fight against it to be our best selves and our truest selves. And that's what I mean by best selves. I mean you, true to the core, of your soul, just being and experiencing and living and loving. That is exactly how you should be, because that is the place where you will feel the most safe, the most loved, and the most at home. Home is a hard place to find on your own, but I promise it exists and it's in you, and you can find it too. Lastly, I guess I'm just going into 3 parts of my journey here. So, part 3 of my self love, safety, finding home within journey has really been saying it's okay that you have gone through trauma. And it's okay that you don't understand it yet. And it's okay to know that it's all going to take time and that there's no rush. And it's also okay if you never fully understand everything that you have gone through, because our brains work in very complex matters to protect us. And there's no blame there in that. You are not wrong if you have memories that are hard to access. You are not wrong if something traumatic has happened to you and you don't know exactly what it is. That doesn't make it any less valid. You are not wrong for having complex feelings. You are not wrong for having trouble with new relationships, because everybody has wounds. Everybody has attachment injuries. You are not wrong for trying to protect yourself from more hurt. Trauma is a beast. It is something that a lot of us face, probably all of us, honestly. But no matter where you're at, no matter how much you have lost, no matter how much you have hurt, no matter how much someone has hurt you, you are still lovable. And no matter what you're feeling, if you're feeling fear or anger, if you're feeling nothing at all, if you're feeling confusion or sadness, even if you're, deflecting and making jokes and still having a grand time, all of that is valid, and none of it takes away from who you are as a person. And that is a lesson I have been trying to take in one day at a time, reminding myself that whatever I'm feeling that day is valid. And I want you to know that too. Whatever you are feeling is so valid, and no one can tell you otherwise. And you are allowed to take up as much space as you need to feel those feelings fully, because that is the only way that we get to work on healing, Feel as much as you can and do it in a safe space with yourself, with someone you trust, with a therapist, with a journal, whatever you need. And we're all going to get there, That's my hope, anyway. So, I guess that's where I'm going to kind of end this episode off. Thank you so much for listening about my own personal journey of finding safety within myself and finding a home and love within myself. As I said, this is definitely an ongoing process, and it's something I very much go up and down with all of the time. And I am so aware that it's probably going to continue like that for quite a while, but that's okay, because that means that progress is happening. And so far, those good days, they are so worth the pain and time that it takes to get here. So give yourself all of the grace and patience, because you deserve every last second. Thank you again for listening. My name is Michelle Crossman, and this is Moving Beyond Stigma. Until next time.